money, that amount of money, and you're like, oh my days, is this all for me? Hey lovelies, and welcome back to Unspoken Words. So today we're going to be talking about how to budget in university. Now I know it's a little bit more of a different scenario, should I say, because we're kind of in some crazy times, but it still applies. It still still will work for you guys, because you still have to know how to manage your money in university. How many of you guys who, when student finance drops that big wad of money, that amount of money, and you're like, oh my days, is this all for me? Like, what? But if you're smart, you budget and make sure that it lasts, because obviously they're not giving you that money every month. It's only for a set period. It's only per term that they are going to supply that finance. And I don't know what it is about student finance that they give you a little bit extra on the last term that they give you money. I don't know what it is that, or why they do that, but it's usually quite nice, because once I've budgeted and paid off everything that I need to pay for all my expenses, I have that little extra. But I've come to learn to save that extra and use it for the next year of university. So I think the first tip I can give you guys, or the first step, is when you apply for student finance and you are through that process. Basically, you have to create a login and all of that. So on that login for the student finance website, that's where it shows you the amount that they're giving you, the amount that is going straight to university, the maintenance loan that they are giving you, and then how it's going to split up for each term. So from there, what you need to do is to have, whether you do on your phone, on your laptop, have a notebook for it, just have somewhere where you can actually do or write down this thing and kind of break it down, so that you can look at it and see that, okay, this is what I have. Maybe it's even on a post-it note, or a piece of paper that you stick on your notice board or corkboard, if you have that, or even on your whiteboard if you have that at university, or you stick on a wall, wherever you need to put it, so that you know that you have it. Just know that it's visible and you can see it. It's not going to be piled under some books and papers and all of the host of stuff. So the thing you need to do is go onto the log onto that website, and then you see, okay, how much are they giving me per term? So you start with first term. So let's say they give you, I don't know, I can't remember, 2,800 and something, I don't know. I'll be listing it here. I'll be listing it here, just so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about as I'm going. So let's say they give you this amount of money, and this is for the next, this is all you have for the next 2 to 3 months, depending on if you're working, then you can just add that, the amount that you get from when you work, to this sum of money, so that how much you are going to be spending, or you have a budget, basically. So basically just add it to the amount of, with the student maintenance loan. So maintenance loan there, right? So this is how much this is all you have for the 2 to 3 months for that term. What you need to do is your rent. How much rent do you have to pay for that period of time? You need to calculate it. Divide the annual by per month, so you know how much you pay per month, and then you times that by 2 or by 3, depending on how long that term period is. So let's just say it is a 3-month term period. So you calculated that your accommodation per month is this much, and then you times that by 3, so you know that for 3 months this is how much I have to pay. So when student finance drops, please, I mean, I can beg you, but at the end of the day, it is your money, it's your responsibility. Pay your rent first. Pay the most important things first, because that's the things that you need, that they will chase you up. They will chase you up. So once you've got that sum of money, deduct that from the beginning sum of money, the student finance term loan. I need names for this. So let's say your student finance term loan is the income amount for that term period. So you deduct your rent for that 3 months from your income, right? So now you have what's left. So from that, you need to know how much do you typically spend per month on food. So let's say £40. Let's use £40 for per month for food. So you times it by three, and then you deduct that from the remaining income. So now you know that you've separated your rent and your food, so you know that you're sorted. And now if you know that you have to travel and you can't do it by foot, and you need to take the taxi, Uber, or the bus or the train, even depending on if you go back home for certain things, so for those 3 months, you kind of do a rough estimate of how much you think you're going to need for transportation, deduct that out of your income. So now you have this particular amount left. Now, whatever other expenses that you have, maybe you have been waiting to buy some things for your room, for your accommodation, then you can deduct that expense as well, or whatever else that you know that you need to pay for as well, you do that. So from there, whatever, if you have anything remaining, my suggestion is to have emergency funds, just in case for those days or those months, that time period, let's just say that it's things might be coming a bit short, or you have to pay extra for something because something happened and it may not have been your fault, but you have to pay anyway because you're within that vicinity, and just because you're by association you have to pay, type thing. So that emergency fund will be for that. So maybe you do £10 per month, you just put that aside. What I did was I had two different accounts. So one was just like my everyday account, like what I do when I want to go shopping. I say shopping like I go shopping every day, but I don't. But yeah, when I want to go and do other things, maybe go and eat out with friends and things like that, I had that account. And then I opened up a second one, which was basically where I put the money for my student loan in, and any other expenses like food and those things. So I know that it's separated from what I used to spend on a day-to-day basis. So I don't go and accidentally eat up into my rent money, because for me, my bank usually pays my student finance loan money 3 to 2 days before, or maybe on the day of when my rent is due. So I'm able to have that extra, so I'm able to have that amount before it's time for me to pay everything out. So I usually just separate and ensure that this is for my rent and stuff like that. So that is that. So now, in terms of food, what I have found that has worked for me, now again, if it's something that you feel like it's not going to work for you, then you can experiment and try something else. You have a whole 3-4 years, depending on what course you do, and if you decide to go into masters and PhD and all of that stuff, then you have longer. And yeah, anyways, so the point is, in terms of food, what I found to work for me is to buy in bulk, and not everything, just the kind of essentials. So things like rice will last forever. And I usually buy those really big bags of rice so that I can just kind of, it's just more cost effective to do it that way. And things like tomatoes, I don't know why I said like that, but things like tomatoes and ginger and all those other, should I say, spices and ingredients that you use for cooking. I wouldn't buy so much of the tomato, just because obviously the freezer that you're given is small, and it's even smaller when you're in a shared flat and you're not living in a studio, unless you decide to buy a mini fridge. Even then, the freezer in that is still small. Anyways, so what I would do is that for the tomatoes and the ginger and just things like that. So cute. I don't freeze cucumber. What I can't remember the things I used to freeze. Onions. I would cut that up and I will bag it and put it in the freezer. So when I need it, bring it out, blend it, and then make soup with that. For the onions, I do two types of cutting. I would either for the first one would be dicing it. The second one would be just cutting it into quarters. So one of them obviously will be used, you know how to use, for those of you who use onions, you know the different ways that you use onions. So things like that, things like milk can be frozen. What else that freeze? When I wanted to, because I was a big advocate of smoothie, I still am, but I don't necessarily drink it as much as I used to. Like I eat, like it was like an everyday, it was an everyday thing with me in university. So what I would do is I would make my different I'd buy the different fruits that I wanted to use to make my smoothie, and the vegetables as well, because sometimes I would add like things like kale and spinach, and then I would make like little smoothie bags. So with my strawberries, grapes, I didn't always do cucumber, ginger, kale, spinach, whatever I wanted to do there, and then I would just kind of put them in small freezer bags and then put them in the freezer. And then when it's time to use it, either I will let it de-thaw, um, either I'd let it thaw, or I would just blend it like that and have a cold little nice beverage. Before my university period started, I made there's a lot of I'd say I made like a short list of the things that I said I was definitely not going to do in university, and the things I was going to do. One of the things I said I wasn't going to do was when freedom comes and you've got independency and things like that, so you kind of want to act out. I said I was going to do that. I said I was going to behave myself and not act stupidly, and I definitely kept my promise throughout my university period. I also said I wasn't going to squander my money, basically, or should I say I said I was going to make sure that I budgeted and did it well, and I wasn't going to find myself in a situation where I'll be looking at myself like, what am I gonna do now? I have no money. Even though in those times there were times when I was like, really stretching my money, but I never got to the point where I did stupid buying and didn't have anything at the end of the day. So I definitely said that I've been brought up to be responsible, so I'm going to be responsible with the money that I have. So I started budgeting from the get-go, even though I didn't really do it like 100% perfect. I didn't have a perfect way of doing it until later on. I still knew how to budget, so I just kind of built up on that and used common sense, should I say, use logic to kind of understand how to budget in terms of how it works for me and my lifestyle, and what the things that I need and don't need, and things I can do without, basically. I am still a big advocate of walking. I love walking. It's such a good, it's apparently it's better than running, but I love walking, and I was fortunate enough to be able to have everything pretty much within walking distance. Even though there were some things that was like half an hour to an hour away, but I still walked because I won't say the weather was nice, but the weather wasn't always nice when I walked. But I just enjoy the whole looking around nature and communicating with God as I'm walking to buy something. So I would do that. Um, yeah, so I didn't touch a bus when I was in university, like not once, and I never needed to, so I didn't. I did take Ubers quite a bit. I didn't always pay for them though, but I did take Ubers quite a bit. But I can hands down say that the majority of time I would walk to the places I need to get to. But yes, just be wise. I think my parting thing would be wise with what you have, with the things that you are doing, and just if you know that you can do without it, that you're not going to struggle if you don't do a certain thing. Maybe if you're somebody who takes Ubers a lot, you know, if you know that you can walk everywhere, that you don't need to do, you don't need to take an Uber, then don't waste the money and take an Uber, unless you're that kind of person who gets to lectures late. Even with that, wake up early. Wake up early. But yes, that is everything I have to say in terms of budgeting, and I will also have a second video on just kind of making sure that you're finding the right accommodation and things like that. But yes, that'll be in my other video, so I will see you guys in my next video. Bye loves.